Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
We're friends on Instagram, and just to make you feel better, I also don't know Beyonce. Thank you, Rabbi Berg, for the invitation to join you on the Bima today. My name is Elizabeth Winter. Before we go further, I do want to warn you that the themes that I'm going to be discussing are upsetting. Can you hear me now? You still can't hear me? Better? Okay. So I'll start over. My name's Elizabeth Winter. I'm going to be talking about some upsetting things this morning. And so for those of you for whom this might be triggering or upsetting, please do what you need to do to be most comfortable in yourself. For those of you who don't know me, I've been a member here at Beth Am'er for over 10 years. I'm a psychiatrist. I'm Ariel's wife, Sophie's mom. It's probably how most people know me. And I am also fortunate enough to have survived an abusive childhood home. My mother, however, did not survive her marriage to my father. He murdered her when I was just 9 years old. My childhood situation is not an uncommon one. According to the CDC, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 10 men have experienced some form of intimate partner violence in their lives, and 1 in 5 homicide victims were killed by an intimate partner. At least 1 in 7 children have experienced child abuse or neglect in the past year, and approximately 1 in 10 adults over the age of 60 have experienced elder abuse or exploitation in the past year. It may be tempting to say, not my community, not Jews. The Jewish home, Shalom Bayit, in which domestic harmony reigns and all participants are nurtured, is a beautiful ideal, but studies have repeatedly shown that the prevalence of domestic violence in the Jewish community, all branches of Judaism, is equal to that of the general US population. Violence and abuse in the home do not discriminate, but the cultural context in which they occur may change the way they manifest or are perceived. Cultural context may also impact the strength of a support network or a survivor's decision to leave the abusive situation. Survivors are often reluctant to discuss their abuse. Many, like myself, continue to feel fear and shame even once they attain a safe environment, and some may even experience concern for their abuser. Education and advocacy are necessary to move beyond our own preconceptions and stereotypes and best support abuse survivors and encourage them to thrive. This month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It was launched in 1987 to raise awareness of domestic violence and also uplift and celebrate survivors. It is an appropriate context for Rabbi Berg and I to reveal that we're beginning discussions about trauma, violence, and abuse in our community and those communities with which we intersect. Our goal is to work on resource gathering and program development. Already, he and I are partnering on gathering resources, including hotlines, lists of shelters, social services, counseling opportunities, and places where people can receive legal aid. We are in the earliest stages, but we'll work with careful intention to write a blueprint for Beth Am'er to recognize and respond to incidents of abuse and violence. The Talmud tells us, anyone who has the ability to correct a situation and is derelict in doing so bears the responsibility for whatever results therefrom. Abuse acknowledged but unaddressed is abuse tolerated and condoned. Changing a culture requires all of us. As a passionate congregation devoted to social justice, we have the opportunity to generate change in our community by gaining knowledge, creating a safe space, responding with care and compassion and spreading awareness. I spent many years ashamed of my past, of the abuse that I suffered at my father's hands, and my mother's violent and untimely death. When I was a teenager and in my early 20s, I would even lie. I would say that my parents had died in an accident to avoid discussion. I may be a psychiatrist, but despite my training, it's only with years of my own therapy, the support of my husband, Ariel, and the experience of becoming a parent myself that I have really embraced my history and accepted that while I am a survivor of abuse, it does not define me. And it does not impact people's perceptions of me in the way that I feared. I categorically reject the idea that everything happens for a reason. I find it callous to suggest that there is a purpose in the abuse of others. But I do believe that we can find reason and that we can create meaning from events that have occurred. In recent years, I have stopped hiding, and I embrace my opportunity in helping to reduce stigma for survivors of trauma, for helping people to come out from underneath the pall that abuse spreads over their lives. Rabbi Berg and I will keep you apprised as we develop Beth Am'er response to abuse and violence in our community. If you have personal or professional experience in these areas, please don't hesitate to connect with me and with Rabbi Berg to share your thoughts, your concerns, and your suggestions. Our ears and our hearts are open to you. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.